So we're gonna continue relationship 3 or 6. I think at this point it's safe to say we're on relationship number 6, or 3.2, depending on who you ask or how you look at it. So we left off with I'm getting ready to leave Belleville, and when I do leave Belleville, Christy calls me when I'm on the road. She calls me at night before bed. When I get to Washington, she calls me every night for about 2 months straight. And she initiates about 90% of the calls. And I do call her once in a while. I initiate the call, but most of the time she's calling me. I actually did fly back to see her in Belleville for a weekend. And she got super sick, so once again, we're stuck inside her house. Now, every night she wants to watch a movie. This happened back in March, and this happened in April. She wants to watch a movie. Hey, that's fine. But she always wanted to watch a movie that she wanted to watch. Okay, fine. Or same with video games. So she was very active in San Angelo. One of the things that changed was she is kind of now a house person. She just likes spending her time indoors. She likes spending time with her dog. She likes spending time watching movies and playing video games, which that's pretty much what my personality was before the military. That was my personality in tech school. She literally would knock on my door sometimes. Hey, I know you're playing video games, but we're going to go out and have fun. So she would kind of drag me out of the dorms in tech school. That was my personality in Oklahoma until, hey, video games are kind of dying down a little bit. I want to go out and explore the state a little bit more. There's a whole world out there. And now keep in mind, she's been all over the world. Oh my gosh, she's been all over the United States. She's been all over Europe. She's been to the Middle East, I believe, one time. And actually, excuse me, she's been to the Middle East twice. Come to find out, she was in Qatar 1 year before I went to Qatar. And there's a picture of me on a pier. And behind me is Doha. She was like, oh my God, I stood there. Actually, she wasn't even there a year ago. She was there October of 2019. 4 months later, I would be in Qatar. I would be at Al Udeid, and we have pictures of us standing in the same location at different times with the same background. So she has been to Qatar. She's been all over Europe. So she's seen a lot of the world, and the way she sees it is, I've seen a lot of the world. I hate flying now. I just want to be at home with my dog and play video games, watch movies, but she still goes to work. Okay, fine, I understand that, priorities change over time, and you've seen most of the world. For me, I've seen a lot of the world too, but I would still like to go out and, explore. So, I had another buddy pass away, and I've lost five people during my time in the military. Four airmen and one civilian. And 3 of them were self-deletions, unfortunately. And even though I technically wasn't in the military at this time, I remember I was coming home from work, and I got a call from one of my old senior NCOs, and he goes, "Hey man, I still consider you part of our family. You just left a few months ago, but Sergeant so-and-so is dead." And Sergeant so-and-so, he was also from Washington. He was actually around the Everett area. So he was about an hour north of me, but he was in Oklahoma when he passed away, and Christy called me that night, as she always has been, and I let her know what was going on. And the day of the funeral was very tough, and left the funeral, I was very upset. I felt like I lost a dear friend. And she texts me, and like, hey, I understand that, it was your friend's funeral today. If you want to talk, I'm here, and we do talk. And I was upset. I was understandably upset. And I didn't think about it in the moment. I didn't even think about it for a few months. But guess who was being negative again? Me. And Christy already couldn't deal with my negativity. I was pretty negative in tech school, I will admit. And here I was being negative again, but regardless of the situation, she didn't really like that. And it didn't take long for her to stop calling me every night. And what I don't like is she blamed me for, you're the one calling me every night. You're not giving me my space. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to point fingers, but okay. But I knew in my heart that most of the phone calls were initiated by her. And despite that hit, she said she wanted to come down to Seattle and see me. She spent near, not exactly, but near $1,000 to fly from St. Louis to Seattle for 4th of July weekend. And, I'm glad she came down. But my grandparents have a house on the peninsula, very beautiful area. And I was like, I want to show you Port Townsend. It's a very classy city. You would like it. You like classy stuff. She loves old-timey musicals. She likes Sound of Music. She likes the Meet Me in St. Louis. She likes Airplane. She likes Top Secret. A lot of these old classical musicals or just classical comedies. Very old. And I was like, you might like Port Townsend. It's a very old city. At least it feels old. There's a 50s diner there. I love going there. And we get to my grandparents' house. It's just the two of us. And we wake up the next morning and she just wants to go back to the house, my parents' house. Okay, so we drove all the way here for nothing. On top of that, we were laying on the floor together, just looking up at the wood ceiling. That's not romantic or anything. And we get back to my parents' house and we watch more movies that she wants to watch. My parents loved her. According to my mother, she was very helpful around the house. My parents had a really great time meeting her. We did work out in the morning. We both like to run. I'm more of a quick runner. I'm not like a sprinter, but I would say I can run pretty quick for about 1.5 to 3 miles, where she runs very slow, but she can do 10 miles. So we did a little bit of a workout. I was apparently criticized for picking a route with a hill. Welcome to Washington. We have hills. We have mountains. She even stated that Mount Rainier is like the biggest mountain she's ever seen. And just, I guess, we went back to my old church. I had men's group there. And I guess so she got to meet the head men's group leader, which was great. Hey, this is Christy. I've been telling you about her this past few months. I told you about her back in 2017, and they introduced each other. They met. We only talked for a few minutes, and then we left. And I was later told, dude, she was kind of closed off to me. What the heck? By my men's group leader. We walked around Seattle a little bit. We walked around Seattle a little bit, more specifically Fremont. We did cider tasting at some cider brewery, if that's even the correct term. I actually met her aunt and uncle, who actually live in Seattle, and they got to catch up, which was great. And I was pretty much the only one sipping cider. And here's where things got really weird. And this is not the first time she's done this to me, nor would it be the last time she's done this to me. But I let her drive my Volkswagen, and we had to go to a 4th of July party at my grandparents' house. Now they have two houses. One's in the peninsula and one is in the backwoods of Washington, and it's on a lake. And as we're driving, she just looks over at me and just, I don't want to be with you anymore. And this just seems, and here's what's frustrating. And this is why I make these videos. Here's what's frustrating. In regards to, it's not even relationships, it's even friendships as well. Is I understand that people change. The person that she was in San Angelo is not the person that she was in Belleville. I think the person in San Angelo was way better. Christy in San Angelo was way better. I felt like she was more mature, more caring, all that kind of stuff. And it just seemed weird that for the past 3 months, as far as 2021 goes, she seemed super interested. She talked about wanting to be back in a relationship, all this stuff, and just out of the blue, I don't want to be with you anymore. I was never given a reason why. I didn't see any signs, and it just came out of the blue, and it was just kind of like, what'd I do? And I took it personally. I took it very personally. I put up a stiff upper lip, like, okay, it is what it is. And basically the whole 4th of July party was very awkward. I drove her to the airport the next morning, and I got back, and I kind of had a little bit of a meltdown. Like, just I believe that men are made to fix things, whether if it's work, cars, you name it, and even relationships. But we cannot fix things that are not presented to us. That is why when it comes to me working on cars, I can find out what the problem is and fix it. Or as a firefighter, if someone's having a medical emergency, I can get an idea of what is wrong with them, put it in the PCR report, and ship them off to the hospital. I don't ride ambulance, but I help the paramedics transport patients. But what sucks is when it comes to relationships is more often than not, I don't get accurate feedback. I don't see the signs of what's wrong. If I had to have a moment of sexism, and surprisingly, this is not my words, this is actually other female friends' words and my own mother, is yes, women are complicated like that. And I have to deal with that. And even as I sit here, I just got out of my 7th relationship wondering, well, what the hell went wrong? And the only answer I get is, well, women are complicated. Okay, great. Is it something I did? What can I do to improve myself? And if it's you, can you at least have some kind of mature confession that it is you, so I don't take things personally? And on top of that, even when she said that she didn't want to be with me, I actually didn't believe her, because I looked at the past 3 relationships she's been in. The guy she dated in Germany for 4 days, myself, which only lasted 4 months, and the guy after her that really kind of fucked her up. She actually fell in love with a guy for 2 years, and come to find out he never loved her and kind of used her. And and I get it. It hurts. But I feel like it triggered something inside her where it didn't make her committed to relationships anymore. Especially, again, looking at the past 2 relationships, which I was one of them. And you're telling me that within the past 3 years, you only dated one guy for 4 days? That seems very hard to believe. You're a very attractive, tall woman who's Christian and mature. Or, well, was mature. I am under the impression, even as I sit here, that her maturity has kind of gone down over the past few years, and her anxiety has gone up, her depression's gone up, and keep that in mind. And she went from an extrovert in San Angelo to a severe introvert. So I had about a good solid week of depression before I started my job at HVAC. I didn't hear from her for a month. And when I did hear from her, it was like, oh man, I thought we were done. I guess we're not done. And she was very happy to hear that I got the HVAC job. I've been looking at getting an HVAC job for months now. I finally got it. I told her all the great things I was doing. Now September rolls around, and I probably didn't mention this, but she was in the Space Force. She is in the Space Force even now. And she calls me in September, and I tell her, like, look, HVAC's fun and all, but I'm thinking about going back into the fire department. But I feel like I need to move. And she comes out and goes, I got orders to Colorado. I would love it if you came to Colorado with me. And that right there, the way I took it was, this is an opportunity for us to live in the same state, rebuild our friendship, and get back into a relationship. Maybe that's what we needed. So, within a month and a half, I looked into college, I looked into fire jobs, and a month and a half isn't completely accurate, actually. I quit my HVAC job beginning of January 2022, and about 2 weeks later I moved to Colorado. Moved to Colorado Springs. And a month later I started my fire job. I already got enrolled into college, and 6 months later she shows up. But before she shows up, I go to see her in Belleville one more time before she moves, and we have the best time. We go to IKEA. She loves IKEA. I like IKEA. But here's where things get weird again, is she's talking about kids and marriage. And we go to the zoo. She buys me hot chocolate. We go to this place called Eckhart's. We get some honey, we get some tea, we get some other things. We go back to her house, and I introduce her to saffron tea, and we have pastries, and have a great moment. And I used to have this special hat. I don't know where it went. It's missing. I used to have this special camo hat with an American flag and a Maltese cross. And we're at the table, and she takes my hat and she wears it. Now, I understand that she's probably being friendly, but to me, that's kind of a relationship thing. And now that I remember it, I have the picture to prove it, because I took a picture of it. She got me a Lego set for Christmas, but didn't decide to give it to me until Valentine's Day. And she got me a box of chocolates for Valentine's Day in the shape of a heart. And she said, I love you. And she's the one that left me. And she, and the thing is she doesn't know this. She, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is a very frustrating video. So anyway, we did talk about her moving in with me and her dog. And I was under the impression, and this is a breakdown of communication, but I was under the impression of she was going to live with me full time. And then it went down to, just a few months, just a few weeks. And then it went down to, never mind, I'm not going to live with you. Okay, I understand things change, but, my door was always open. Just kind of wish you'd make up your mind a little bit. When she did move here, she also brought along a friend. I guess that's not the right terminology. A mutual friend of ours came here as well. Apparently, according to her, I met him in tech school. We all three of us were going to tech school at the same time, and apparently at one point we all three knew each other. Though him and I don't entirely remember, but that didn't stop us from becoming friends. Here's what I hate though is the guy, and her were living together. That's not what I hated. I hated how I would get a phone call from her. Oh my god, Anderson is pissing me off, using a fake name. Anderson is pissing me off, doesn't know how to take care of himself or doesn't respect my space. And then I get a phone call from Anderson. Dude, oh my god, Christy is so mad at me. Oh my god. So that was going on. Eventually, she actually kicked him out, which I was like, yo, you said you would take care of him or host him. I understand it's your place, but, try to be a person of your word. My goodness. We did find a church together. We went to church one time together here. She did start to have complications with her thyroid. And after August, I didn't hear from her for a few months. And it was one of those, like, again, what did I do? Why is there no communication? There were times I would text her and call her, and I would be left on red or the phone calls ignored. She did eventually have surgery for her thyroid, and the day of her surgery, she texted me, hey, the surgery was a success. Hey, that's great that your surgery was a success. I'm so happy for you. Why is this the first time I'm hearing from you in like 5 months? And I actually did ask her that question after Christmas this is 2022, after Christmas of 2022. And I asked her, like, hey, again, great that your surgery went well, but why did you tell me afterwards? Oh, I just thought you were worried about me. Yeah, I was. And you know what else? I was worried about you the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that, and the week before that, and the month before that, and 2 months before that. And I never heard from you. On top of that, I talked to her friend in Belleville, and I talked to Anderson here. She was still talking to me about marriage and kids, and I asked them, like, have you guys heard her talking about these conversations around you? No, dude, she never has these conversations around me. Okay, why is she having them around me then? That's so weird. And I'm now getting just weird signals. I'm looking at what's been going on these past few years, and I'm getting these signals. And I'm doing my investigations with other people. And it doesn't help that I did an inspection, a fire inspection of one of her buildings because she actually works right around where I work with the fire department. And come to find out, one of her coworkers found out that I was the ex-boyfriend. Oh, hey, Sergeant Christie. Yes, I do. Hey, what's wrong with her? Oh my god. Always ask the ex-boyfriend. She's having a thyroid problem, dude. Other than that, I don't know. She's her own person. Why don't you ask her? Why is everyone coming to me for stuff? At least that's how it felt. So, Christmas of 2022. She wants to have me over for Christmas, more specifically the 26th of Christmas, or the 26th of December, the day after Christmas. I was working Christmas. We catch up a little bit. We got some Cinnabons, and she gives me a gift, a not very expensive, an $80 portable campfire. Like, you hook it up to a propane tank, and it's really cool. It's great for camping, and it was $80. And the reason why I bring up the $80 is, wow, Christy, thank you so much for this gift. Um, hey, what did you get your best friend? She has a female best friend. She got her something, but it was like not this expensive. What did you get your friend back in Belleville? Nothing. What did you get Anderson? Oh, a scarf that I made. And I got an $80 furnace. Okay, yeah, that's not giving me any weird signals at all. So, I'm going to end it here. Things went from good to bad, and the next video is going to be for worse. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about actually happened very recently, and just really broke my heart. So, this concludes part 2.